Apparently he, it wasn't heroin. He ended up getting some fentanyl. It killed him. Yeah.
Rick Harrison finally breaks silence on Adam Harrison's death, and it's bad. The reality television world has been rocked by tragedy in recent months following the untimely death of Adam Harrison, son of Pawn Stars patriarch Rick Harrison. After weeks of silence that fueled speculation across social media and entertainment news outlets, Rick Harrison has finally addressed the devastating loss of his 39-year-old son in an emotional interview that has left fans stunned by his raw honesty about their complicated relationship and the circumstances surrounding Adam's passing. In a sit-down interview with a major news outlet that has since gone viral, Harrison revealed details about his son's long battle with addiction that eventually claimed his life in January. The normally stoic businessman, known for his sharp negotiating skills and encyclopedic knowledge of historical items, showed a vulnerable side rarely seen on television as he discussed the painful reality of losing a child to the opioid epidemic that continues to devastate families across America. Adam struggled for years, Harrison revealed, his voice thick with emotion. As a father, you want to fix everything for your kids, but addiction isn't something you can just negotiate away or throw money at to make it disappear. We tried everything, the best rehabilitation facilities, interventions, therapy, but in the end, this disease was stronger than all our efforts combined. Adam Harrison, unlike his brothers Corey and Jake, who have appeared on the History Channel series, largely stayed away from the spotlight that has followed the Harrison family since Pawn Stars debuted in 2009. This privacy led to misconceptions among the show's fanbase, with many unaware of his existence until news of his passing became public. Rick addressed this directly in the interview, explaining that Adam's absence from the show was partly due to his ongoing health struggles. People ask why Adam wasn't on the show, and the truth is, he was fighting his own battles behind the scenes, Harrison explained. Some days were better than others. He'd have stretches of sobriety where we thought maybe this time he'd turned the corner. Then there would be a setback. It's the cruel cycle of addiction that millions of families understand all too well. Harrison's candor about his son's cause of death marks a departure from the family's initial silence when the news first broke. In January, the Harrison family released only a brief statement confirming Adam's passing without details, requesting privacy during their time of mourning. This limited information created a vacuum that was quickly filled with rumors and speculation online, something Rick acknowledged weighed heavily on the family as they grieved. "We wanted to process our loss privately before saying anything publicly," Harrison said, "but I've realized that staying silent allows others to control the narrative, and Adam deserves better than that. He wasn't just his addiction. He was a father, a son, a brother, and a friend who had so many wonderful qualities that were often overshadowed by his disease." The Pawn Stars frontman went on to share memories of Adam's sharp sense of humor, his creativity, and his periods of working at the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop away from the cameras. These glimpses into Adam's life painted a picture of a complex individual who struggled with the family's sudden fame and his own personal demons simultaneously. "Not everyone is built for public attention," Harrison reflected. "When the show took off, it changed our lives overnight. Corey adapted to it, even thrived in that environment. Adam was different. He was more private, more sensitive to criticism. I sometimes wonder if the pressure of our family becoming public figures exacerbated his struggles." Harrison's willingness to discuss the realities of addiction represents an important moment in celebrity culture, where personal tragedies are often sanitized or hidden entirely. By speaking openly about Adam's cause of death, the reality star joins a growing number of public figures who are working to destigmatize addiction and mental health issues by sharing their own painful experiences. "The worst thing about addiction is the shame that surrounds it," Harrison said. "That shame keeps people suffering in silence, keeps families pretending everything is fine when they're falling apart. If sharing Adam's story helps even one person seek help or one family feel less alone in their struggle, then breaking my silence is worth it." The interview took an even more somber turn when Harrison addressed his regrets regarding his relationship with Adam. In one particularly poignant moment, he admitted that the demands of building his business and later maintaining his television career sometimes came at the expense of being present for his son during critical periods. Success comes with a price that isn't listed on any pawnshop tag, Harrison said, referencing the family business that made him famous. I was building a legacy, working 16-hour days at the shop, then managing the demands of the show. There were times Adam needed me, and I was physically there, but mentally focused on business. Those are moments I can't get back, and that's something I have to live with now. Harrison also revealed that there had been periods of estrangement between himself and Adam, complicated by the cyclical nature of addiction and recovery. These admissions provide context for Adam's absence from the public-facing side of the Harrison family enterprise, while also offering a glimpse into the complicated dynamics that exist in many families touched by substance abuse. Anyone who's loved someone battling addiction knows there are times you have to set boundaries for your own well-being. Harrison explained, there were periods where we weren't speaking because the situation had become untenable. That distance is part of what makes grief so complicated. You're not just mourning the person you lost, but also the reconciliation you'll never get to have, the conversations that will remain unfinished. While much of the interview focused on the painful realities of Adam's struggles, Harrison also shared happier memories of his son, including Adam's love for his own children and his creative spirit. These moments of lightness offered a more complete picture of a man who was more than his battles with addiction. Adam was an incredible father when he was healthy, Harrison said. He was so patient, so present with his kids in a way that, honestly, taught me a lot about what matters most in life. During his good periods, he had this infectious enthusiasm that would light up a room. That's the Adam I want people to know existed alongside the struggles. The Pawn Stars patriarch also addressed how the family is coping with their loss, revealing that they have established a private foundation in Adam's name, focused on helping individuals seeking recovery who lack financial resources for treatment. This initiative, while not publicized until now, has already assisted several people in accessing rehabilitation services. Adam always wanted to help others going through similar struggles, Harrison said. Even in his darkest times, he'd reach out to friends who were struggling and try to support them. This foundation continues that spirit of compassion that was so central to who he was as a person. Harrison's son, Corey Big Hoss Harrison, who features prominently on Pawn Stars, was not part of the interview, but was mentioned as being deeply affected by the loss of his brother. According to Rick, Corey has taken time away from filming to process his grief and support Adam's children during this difficult transition. Corey and Adam had a complicated relationship, as brothers often do, but there was always love there, Harrison explained. Corey's focused on being there for Adam's kids now, making sure they know their father was loved and that they have family who will support them through anything. Family friend and Pawn Stars co-star Austin Chumley Russell has reportedly been a source of support for the Harrison family during their mourning period. Harrison mentioned that Chumley, who has faced his own public struggles in the past, has shown remarkable empathy throughout this difficult time. Chum knew Adam well, knew his struggles, and there's been no judgment there, just support, Harrison said. That's been true of our whole Pawn Stars family. When something like this happens, you learn who your real friends are, and we've been fortunate to have people who've shown up for us in meaningful ways. The interview also touched on how the family's faith has helped them navigate the aftermath of such a devastating loss. Harrison, who rarely discusses his religious beliefs publicly, shared that, returning to the spiritual foundations established by his father, the late Richard Oldman Harrison, has provided some measure of comfort. My dad was a man of faith, and I found myself reconnecting with those roots during this time, Harrison reflected. There's no guidebook for grieving your child. You're not supposed to outlive your kids. Finding meaning in that kind of loss requires something bigger than yourself to lean on. In perhaps the most revealing portion of the interview, Harrison addressed the impact of fame on his family dynamics, offers a counterpoint to the often glamorized portrayal of reality TV stardom. When you become a public figure, everything changes, Harrison explained. Your successes are magnified, but so are your failures. For someone already struggling with personal demons, having a famous last name can feel like both a privilege and a curse. Adam sometimes felt he couldn't just be himself. He was always Rick Harrison's son, with all the expectations that come with that identity. Harrison also spoke candidly about the disconnect between his public persona and his private grief, explaining that continuing to film Pawn Stars while processing such a profound loss has been one of the greatest challenges of his career. Viewers who've watched episodes filmed after Adam's passing would have had no indication of the pain the businessman was experiencing behind his professional demeanor. The cameras roll, and you have to be Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars, the guy who knows everything about history and drives a hard bargain, he said. Meanwhile, you're shattered inside. That's the reality of this business. The show must go on, even when your personal world has stopped turning. Adam understood that duality better than most. He saw firsthand how the public persona rarely matches the private reality. Harrison's willingness to discuss the true circumstances of Adam's death comes at a time when the opioid epidemic continues to claim lives across all demographic and economic boundaries. By using his platform to highlight how addiction can affect any family, regardless of resources or public profile, Harrison adds his voice to growing calls for better understanding and treatment options. Addiction doesn't care how much money you have, what your last name is, or whether you're on television, Harrison stated firmly. It's an equal opportunity destroyer. If sharing our family's experience helps reduce the stigma even slightly, or encourages someone to seek help before it's too late, then some small good can come from our loss. The Pawn Stars frontman also reflected on how Adam's death has changed his perspective on what truly matters, both in business and life. Known for his shrewdness in assessing the value of historical artifacts, Harrison acknowledged that tragedy has a way of clarifying what is truly precious. I've spent my career determining what things are worth, he said, referencing his famous expertise in evaluations. It takes something like this to remind you that the most valuable things in life aren't things at all. They're moments, connections, conversations, especially the difficult ones you've been putting off having. Harrison's willingness to discuss the true circumstances of Adam's death comes at a time when the opioid epidemic continues to claim lives across all demographic and economic boundaries. By using his platform to highlight how addiction can affect any family, regardless of resources or public profile, Harrison adds his voice to growing calls for better understanding and treatment options. Addiction doesn't care how much money you have, what your last name is, or whether you're on television, Harrison stated firmly. It's an equal opportunity destroyer. If sharing our family's experience helps reduce the stigma even slightly, or encourages someone to seek help before it's too late, then some small good can come from our loss. The Pawn Stars frontman also reflected on how Adam's death has changed his perspective on what truly matters, both in business and life. Known for his shrewdness in assessing the value of historical artifacts, Harrison acknowledged that tragedy has a way of clarifying what is truly precious. I've spent my career determining what things are worth, he said, referencing his famous expertise in evaluations. It takes something like this to remind you that the most valuable things in life aren't things at all. They're moments, connections, conversations, especially the difficult ones you've been putting off having. Harrison concluded the emotional interview with a message for other families facing similar battles with addiction, offering hard-earned wisdom from his own experience. His parting thoughts centered on the importance of balancing boundless love with the realistic expectations about recovery. Love them unconditionally, but know that your love alone can't save them, Harrison said, his voice breaking slightly. Be there when you can, establish boundaries when you must, and forgive yourself for not being able to fix something that may be beyond fixing. Above all, treasure the good moments when they come, because those memories become incredibly precious when they're all you have left. As the interview concluded, Harrison revealed that the family had scattered some of Adam's ashes at a meaningful location they had visited together during one of his periods of sobriety. A rare family vacation where, for a brief moment, addiction had not defined their relationship. This intimate detail, shared with obvious emotion, underscored the complexity of grieving someone whose life contained both tremendous struggle and moments of genuine connection. Adam had this period of about 8 months where things were good, Harrison recalled. We took a trip to the mountains, just father and son, and had conversations I'll treasure forever. Standing at that same spot to say goodbye felt right somehow. It honored both who he was and who he was fighting to become. The reaction to Harrison's candid interview has been overwhelmingly supportive, with fans and fellow celebrities praising his courage in addressing such a painful subject publicly. Addiction specialists have also commended the reality star for using his platform to highlight the realities of substance use disorder and its impact on families. When someone with Rick Harrison's public profile speaks this honestly about addiction, it helps chip away at the shame that prevents many people from seeking help, noted Dr. Marcus Stevens, a specialist in addiction medicine. His willingness to share his family's experience creates space for others to do the same, and that kind of openness is essential to addressing this epidemic. For the millions of viewers who have welcomed the Harrison family into their homes through their television screens for over a decade, Rick's heartfelt discussion of Adam's death offers a reminder of the humanity behind the entertainment. The man who built a brand around uncovering the stories behind historical treasures has now shared the most personal story of all, one of love, loss, and the ongoing journey of grief. Adam's story didn't end the way any of us hoped, Harrison said as the interview drew to a close. But his life mattered, his struggles mattered, and making sure others know they're not alone in similar battles matters too. That's the legacy I want to build for my son, one of honesty, compassion, and the recognition that every person fighting addiction deserves dignity, even when they can't find it for themselves. As Pawn Stars continues its successful run on television, viewers will likely see the same familiar Rick Harrison they've come to know over 14 seasons. But behind the savvy businessman evaluating rare coins and historical artifacts is now a father changed by loss, carrying both cherished memories and difficult truths about the son who remained largely unknown to the show's millions of fans. In breaking his silence on Adam's death, Rick Harrison has done more than clarify the circumstances of a family tragedy. He has used his platform to contribute to a broader conversation about addiction, grief, and the often unseen struggles that exist behind public success. For a man who made his name determining the authenticity and value of historical items, this act of genuine vulnerability may prove to be his most valuable contribution yet. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Las Vegas continues to operate and draw tourists from around the world, many of whom now leave messages of condolence for the Harrison family in a memorial book placed near the entrance. It's a tangible reminder that behind the famous storefront featured on television, real life, with all its joy and heartbreak, continues for the family that has shared their business with the world, but kept some of their deepest struggles private until now. Harrison also revealed previously unknown details about Adam's early years and the beginnings of his struggles with substance use. According to Rick, Adam showed tremendous promise as a young man, with a natural talent for understanding the value of historical items that rivaled Rick's own expertise. This gift, however, was gradually overshadowed as addiction took hold in his early 20s. Adam had this incredible eye for detail, Harrison shared, momentarily brightening at the memory. He could look at a coin collection and spot the valuable pieces immediately. It was like watching a younger version of myself. We had that connection, that shared interest that I thought would eventually bring him into the business permanently. This natural talent made Adam's absence from the family business all the more painful for Rick, who had initially envisioned building the pawn empire with both his sons at his side. Instead, as Pawn Stars grew in popularity and Corey became a household name alongside his father, Adam's struggles kept him largely in the background. There were periods where he worked at the shop, and he was brilliant with customers, Harrison recalled. People who came in during those times might remember him, though we kept him away from the cameras. He had this natural charm and knowledge that customers responded to, But then the disease would take hold again, and he'd disappear for weeks or months at a time. Harrison described the particular challenges of trying to help someone battle addiction while living in Las Vegas, a city where temptations are abundant and the culture often celebrates excess. Vegas is a difficult place for someone fighting addiction, he acknowledged. It's a 24/7 city where you can access just about anything at any time. There were periods where we discussed Adam relocating to start fresh somewhere else, but ultimately, he wanted to stay close to his children and the family. The interview also touched on Adam's relationship with his grandfather, Richard "Old Man" Harrison, who passed away in 2018. According to Rick, the old man had a special bond with Adam and often served as a stabilizing force during difficult periods. "My father had this way about him, direct, no nonsense, but also deeply compassionate when it mattered," Harrison said. He could get through to Adam when no one else could. "After Dad passed, Adam lost that anchor. I tried to fill that role, but it was never quite the same. They had a connection that was unique." Harrison also addressed rumors that had circulated online suggesting family conflict had contributed to Adam's struggles, firmly denying any such narratives. "The internet loves drama and conspiracy theories," he said with a hint of the businessman's pragmatism returning to his voice. "The truth is much simpler and much more heartbreaking. Addiction is a disease that doesn't discriminate. It's not about family feuds or reality TV drama. It's about a disease that takes hold and doesn't let go, despite everyone's best efforts." The Pawn Stars patriarch revealed that in the months before Adam's passing, there had been signs of hope. A new treatment protocol had shown promise, and Adam had been maintaining sobriety and rebuilding relationships with his children. This period of optimism made the eventual loss even more devastating for the family. "When you've been on this roller coaster for years, you learn to be cautiously hopeful during the good periods," Harrison explained. Adam was doing well. He was engaged with his kids. He was talking about future plans. "We'd been down this road before, but something felt different this time. That's part of what makes this loss so cruel. We thought we might finally be seeing the light at the end of a very long tunnel." Harrison also shared that Adam had been working on a memoir about his experiences with addiction, hoping to help others facing similar battles. The unfinished manuscript, which the family discovered after his death, revealed a depth of self-awareness and insight that surprised even those closest to him. "Reading his words, I realized how much he understood about his own struggles," Harrison said, emotion returning to his voice. "He was so articulate about the disease, about what it feels like to be in its grip. We're discussing as a family whether some version of this might eventually be shared. If it could help others, that would be a decision we'd make very carefully, with respect for what Adam would have wanted." The interview touched briefly on the practical aspects of the family's grief journey, with Harrison acknowledging the unique challenges of mourning while maintaining a public-facing business and television presence. The gold and silver pawn shop closed for several days following the news of Adam's death, an unprecedented move for a business that prides itself on being open 24/7. "In 35 years, we've closed the shop maybe 3 times, Harrison noted. "But we needed that time to breathe, to be together as a family without customers or cameras." The History Channel was incredibly understanding about pausing production. "Still, at some point, you have to return to work, to some semblance of normal life, even when nothing feels normal anymore." Harrison also addressed the difficult process of explaining Adam's death to his young children, who now face growing up without their father. "That's been one of the hardest parts," he admitted. "How do you explain to a child that their dad isn't coming back, and why? We've tried to be age-appropriately honest, to emphasize how much their father loved them, and to assure them that his struggles weren't their fault. We're making sure they have professional support to process this loss." Throughout the interview, Harrison returned repeatedly to the theme of stigma surrounding addiction and how it complicates both treatment and grieving. He expressed particular frustration with social media comments and tabloid coverage that had characterized Adam's death in sensationalistic or judgmental terms. "When someone dies from cancer, there's universal sympathy," Harrison observed. "When someone dies from addiction, there's often this undercurrent of judgment, as if they chose this end, as if they didn't fight hard enough, Adam fought this disease with everything he had. He didn't want to be addicted. He didn't want to hurt his family. He wanted to live, to see his kids grow up, to have the future he'd been working toward. The interview concluded with Harrison sharing his vision for the foundation established in Adam's name, which aims to provide financial assistance for addiction treatment and support for the children of parents battling substance use disorders. Adam was always most concerned about his kids and about others who were fighting the same battles he was, Harrison explained. This foundation focuses on those two things, making sure people who want treatment can access it, regardless of financial constraints, and providing support for the innocent children caught in the crossfire of this disease. It's a way of ensuring that even in death, Adam continues to make a positive impact. As the emotional interview drew to a close, Harrison offered a final reflection that seemed to capture both his grief and his determination to find meaning in tragedy. In the pawn business, we see people at their lowest moments, when they're desperate enough to part with treasured possessions, he said. But we also see resilience, people who bounce back, who rebuild, who return later to reclaim what they've lost. I have to believe that sharing Adam's story honestly can help others reclaim lives that seem lost to addiction. That's the hope I'm holding on to now. The interview, which has now been viewed millions of times online, represents a rare moment of unvarnished emotion from a television personality known for his stoic business acumen. For the millions of viewers who have followed the Harrison family's journey through Pawn Stars, it offers a glimpse behind the carefully produced reality television facade to the genuine human experience of a father grieving his son while trying to prevent other families from facing the same devastating loss. Adam never wanted to be famous, Harrison concluded. But he did want to make a difference in the world. If his story helps even one person, then he's done exactly that, and as his father, I couldn't be more proud.